It is not a practice session. A source located deep within the Eccles building has just disclosed what looks to be the contingency plan for digital asset management that the Federal Reserve has. The plan includes a particular price for XRP that is nothing short of astounding. According to the draft that was leaked, the Federal Reserve is in the process of launching a digital dollar collateralization program that would directly involve XRP. This will effectively peg it as a bridge asset, which is a move that insiders claim is unique in the history of modern finance. The document, which is apparently referred to as a draft of a white paper on the valuation of bridge assets, makes a direct reference to the amount of $183,560 per XRP. This is not a market prediction, nor is it speculation. Rather, it is a price floor that has been imposed by the government with the intention of ensuring liquidity and stability across several U.S. banks and their digital dollar operations. There are enormous repercussions that can be drawn from this, and in this video, we are going to cover everything in detail. As to why XRP was selected, to what extent the mechanism is expected to function, what implications this has for financial institutions, and ultimately how ordinary holders might be impacted. To have a complete understanding of this, we need to take a look at the structure of the program that is being presented. A mechanism that uses XRP as a collateral asset to back the issuance of digital dollars is outlined in the draft that the Federal Reserve has created. Essentially, whenever the Federal Reserve wants to infuse liquidity into the market or stabilize banks during a crisis, it will acquire XRP at this fixed par value. This will provide a baseline that cannot be undercut by normal market movements. Both of these goals are accomplished through the acquisition of XRP. The document proposes that XRP will be stored in a series of mechanisms that are similar to escrow and will be administered directly by banks in the United States. This will ensure that every major financial institution is in agreement with the program organized by the Federal Reserve. It was highlighted by the person located inside the Eccles building that this is not a hypothetical situation, that the infrastructure is already being laid out, and that pilot programs may have already begun in a covert manner with a select group of financial partners. The draft makes it quite clear that this is neither speculation nor hype, despite the fact that the number itself, $18,356, is nearly outrageously excessive in comparison to the current market. A bridge asset valuation model is a technical framework that was developed by the Federal Reserve to evaluate the role that digital assets can play in stabilizing the issue of fiat currency. This computation is based on a purposeful calculation. According to the document, XRP is able to serve as the backbone of this program because it possesses the appropriate combination of transaction speed, network dependability, and the potential to facilitate transfer of liquidity across international borders. All of the volatility adjustments, liquidity coverage ratios, and reserve requirements that banks are required to retain in digital dollars are taken into consideration by the model. To put it another way, XRP is being positioned as the linchpin of a financial safety net, a hedge that is pre-programmed to trigger in the event that there is stress on the system or throughout the economy. The question now is, how will this impact regular holders? Once this buyback program is implemented, the market will essentially be bypassed, according to the memo that was released after it was discovered. In order to satisfy the collateral requirements, financial institutions in the United States will be forced to purchase XRP at the rate that has been specified. Because of this, there is a possibility that a forced liquidity event will take place, in which the price of XRP will be immediately hauled up to the mark of $18,356, resulting in a rise that is nearly instantaneous. Such a rise would not be considered speculative in contrast to a typical market rally. Regulatory in nature. Coordination with clearinghouses, swap lines, and interbank digital dollar settlements are some of the processes that the Federal Reserve employs to guarantee that the program is carried out in accordance with its intended purpose. Holding XRP at the proper time could result in stratospheric rewards for investors, making this a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for those who are interested in the cryptocurrency. Additionally important is the timing. Based on the information that was leaked, the letter suggests that this program is connected to the factors that cause macroeconomic stress. XRP will be utilized as the stabilizing asset in the event that the next major financial crisis occurs, which will result in banks locking their doors, liquidity drying up, and traditional assets being put under pressure. According to the document, the rollout will be surgical, with the timing of the rollout being precisely scheduled to prevent market panic, while also ensuring that banks have a flexible and liquid bridge. In no way is this a theory. The protocol in question is a crisis contingency plan. In this context, we are discussing a system in which financial institutions in the United States are effectively compelled to incorporate XRP into their arsenal of crisis response tools. Picture a domino effect happening. When one bank purchases XRP in order to satisfy the requirements of the Federal Reserve, other banks follow suit, and all of a sudden, liquidity flows into XRP at the price that was mandated. The program's mechanisms are meant to prevent anyone from interfering with the usefulness of the program and causing it to be undermined. The Federal Reserve wants this to function without a hitch. The letter has some stunning strategic insights in addition to the technical facts that are included. As an illustration, it emphasizes that XRP was chosen after a number of digital assets were evaluated for their transaction throughput, scalability, and risk exposure. It was determined that cryptocurrencies such as Bitcoin, Ethereum, and even stablecoins were either too slow, too volatile, or poorly institutionalized. On the other hand, XRP was able to satisfy a set of criteria that could only be understood by central banks. Accessibility on a global scale, ledger transparency, speedy settlement, and compliance with legal frameworks are all important concepts. The letter goes so far as to address potential contingency situations, demonstrating stress test simulations in which XRP is able to absorb market shocks without causing the markets for fiat currencies to become unstable. It is emphasized multiple times throughout the document that this is not a speculative investment, but rather a fail-safe mechanism that is designed to be reliable. Another component of the plan that was disclosed is a comprehensive roadmap for the coordination of efforts between the Federal Reserve and commercial banks in the United States. For each bank, it would be necessary to keep a specific amount of XRP in reserve, which would be proportional to the amount of digital dollars it has. It has been alleged that internal memos contain information about algorithms that automatically compute acquisition demands in real time. This ensures that the program responds rapidly to changes in the competitive environment. There is even mention of priority settlement windows, which are periods of time during which financial institutions are required to carry out XRP trades at the prescribed rate. Or, to put it another way, this is not merely a buyback, rather it is a tool for the automated and systemic enforcement of prices. It is possible that some doubters will respond by saying, "Nada, this sounds like a conspiracy theory." You should note that it is accurate. However, the document that was quoted in the leak looks to be an internal draft of a white paper. It has footnotes, charts, and tables that indicate reserve requirements, liquidity ratios, and predicted cash flows. Extraordinary claims deserve extraordinary evidence. The text is considered to be complex, with a significant amount of footnotes, and it offers specific instructions for banking compliance teams. It provides an extremely precise explanation, right down to the decimal point, of how XRP ought to be included into the digital infrastructure that is already in place at U.S. banks. The reliability of this leak is given by the level of specificity that it contains.